morning, and thank you for joining us. I am Alero Edu, as you know, and this is Sunrise.
Amaya Makide, good morning. What's funny? Because all of a sudden you started laughing. Is there anything to discuss it?
That's his word for today, by the way.
Discuss it. What does it mean? And in your responses with us today, you're going to use that word. You don't worry, it's going to come up shortly.
Like you did last week with...
Catawampus.
Catawampus.
Somebody said, where did you spell catawampus? C-A-T-A-W-U.
That was a word and a half anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That was a word.
Well, we'll bring up discuss it shortly, so you know the trivia, Sunrise trivia for the day. So what was funny?
Oh, God. What was funny? It wasn't funny, actually. It wasn't. And it isn't.
And you laughed into it.
And it isn't. It isn't. I was thinking about the first topic we're going to be looking at this morning, the CNG conversion, and how Nigerians, there was something on social media. An electrician did some work in somebody's bathroom area. And it was now posted around, and it was said, I know somebody who is cheaper. So he turns on the tap, the toilet seat flips open, he closes the toilet seat, the tap runs on.
I know.
I know somebody cheaper. So please don't go and convert your car to CNG at an unauthorized dealer's shed.
Simply because
or at a welder's, because it is cheaper.
And it has a promise of something being cheaper. Please don't even make that mistake. I don't even want to say much about it, because it's just not only did people get seriously injured. That car cannot be used anymore. That car is gone. It's now scrap.
Oh, that is painful.
Anyway.
That is painful. Oh, did you see on social media Jagaban Karim?
It's a kind of greeting, Abi.
Yes. Normally it's Ramadan Karim. This one says it is Jagaban Karim. And he says, there's a national fasting. We have to fast by force. Thanks to Jagaban.
So that's what but there's more than one Jagaban, though. You know, the former vice president, Professor Osmaji, is also a Jagaban in another town.
Okay, but the one we all know is Jagaban of Bogu. That's the one we know.
Okay, so that's the one that is...
That is the one that is causing the fasting.
Because I also hear another musician is reigning now.
And he's a Jagaban too?
No, a musician called T-Pain.
Oh!
Yeah, man.
Is it just music? That's not all he does, though.
Oh, really?
You have not seen the weight loss pills?
Oh, really?
Computer generated, of course.
Oh, okay.
Weight loss pills, T-Pain.
I thought he was a musician.
Well, he's very prolific. He's making music.
Versatile.
He's making versatile. Thank you.
Well, thankfully, they are not discuss it.
Okay. Yes, that's what it is. World Food Day.
You have to bring that up again.
Well, the question is, so where is the food?
Right now, as I yesterday...
You look very pensive and very unhappy.
As at yesterday, one of the news stories that led the website of channelstv.com was inflation. 129 million Nigerians living below poverty line.
And the number is increasing.
In fact, that's part of the reason we're going to be discussing this morning. Trapped in poverty.
Yes.
And what's the highest, the major issue in terms of inflation? Food inflation. So when people cannot eat, I saw another report earlier, I think it was last week or the week before, that there are rising cases of malnutrition.
There would be, because we're told now that a family of 4 requires about 150,000 naira a month to be able to eat 1 meal a day.
And the minimum wage is
well,
70,000
Lagos
naira.
and Rivers have said that they're going to be paying 85 each.
Well, the Lagos State governor also said, well, he's hoping that between now and December, he might be able to lift it to 100. Even at that, it's not up to 150,000 naira to feed for a day. That's one. Secondly, there are states. Okay, there are other states. In fact, I think there's a list on one newspaper talking about the number of states that have decided to be paying circa 70,000. There is a state paying 71 plus, there's one paying 72 plus, there's one paying 77,000. There are those who have not discussed it at all. There are those who are saying, okay, based until certain conditions are in place by the federal government, and they are not going to be talking about any increment in pay. Look, at the end of the day, number one, you have a responsibility to make sure that the people that live with you, you take care of their lives and property, the lives, the welfare of citizens is your primary responsibility. So if they are living below poverty line, it's a shame.
Yes.
Especially when it is, you know, and I always ask this question. I've been asking this question, a lot of you have been watching. I've been asking this question. What intermediary, what solutions, what interventions, the word, can the state governments come up with that can ameliorate the pains that people are feeling?
There you go again.
Yes, there I go again.
Subnationals.
Because
what are you guys doing?
There is no state in this country, Alero, that cannot produce food. None.
We have issues with producing food in our country.
What is the because of what?
Because of Boko Haram, because of bandits and their brothers that will not allow our people go to the farms.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the state governors, they don't know the people that are fomenting trouble.
Well,
so
they tell us things that make us run to the conclusion that they actually know who these people are and they know where they are.
For instance.
So why don't they deal with them?
What do they tell you?
The governors. They didn't. Don't know them.
Because one or two of them have come out to say, we know these people, we know who they are. We've
know where they are.
Programs on this that people say, look, these people are not ghosts. We know them. They are members of our families. And state governors are going to be telling me, or state governments are going to be telling me that they can't provide food for their people. No, please, give me another English. All of it is discuss it.
Yes. Congratulations to Lagos State on there's the word,
yes.
The cassette.
Everything is just discuss it. What does it mean, by the way? And when you find the meaning, use it in a statement. And tweet at us. Oh, sorry.
And we
Tony
shall
said
read
it's
it.
post
on X. Okay.
Okay. So that's the word that's a trivia for the day.
Congratulations to Lagos State on the commissioning of the red line. So we have 2 lines working now, the blue line and the red line.
And we are going to 5 lines.
Well, at least we've started.
We've started. Well, of course, you know that people are complaining about the cost of riding it. And, you know, there was something that I heard from, that I've heard several times from leadership experts, and who say, you have to be able to place the value of time above the value of money. Now, that's difficult when you have put pen to paper and calculated everything to the T.
When you are hungry.
So...
your salary is 85 naira a month. And they want you to spend, what, 50,000 of it on transportation?
No. 1,500 naira...
per trip?
No, depending on how you're going. You can't be going all the way from Alagbado to where now?
Okay.
To Oyinbo.
Okay, halfway. Let's say halfway is...
but you know you will save time.
750.
So you save time. You'll be able to sleep a little longer. Instead of waking at 4 a.m., you can wake up around 6 a.m. Join the train. But don't be late.
Is it sleep that the man wants to sleep? The man wants to make more money. So that he can make ends meet.
Yes, but it will also be better for him not to fall sick.
And
because I just saw something, you know, now that there are rising cases of cancer due to what? Chronic stress.
Oh dear.
Rising cases of cancer in people under 50. I just saw a video of a lady. This lady couldn't be anything more than 30-ish.
When are we going to get some respite? Eh?
So
remember when Babangida said that we could only have it wasn't mandatory, but his advice to Nigerians was do not have more than 4 children. But now you don't need anybody to tell you that. You know that you can't afford more than 2.
Can you just have 1?
Or maybe 1.
Or 2 max.
Oh dear. Anyway, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to start with the CNG conversion safety. Okay, in the light of what happened in Benin.
Yeah. It's a conversation we've had before, but we need to reiterate it over and over again. And then we mentioned the issue of poverty the other time. Trapped in poverty, what does that mean? More details will come later on.
As well as the Onyo Dam water release. Oh dear.
Well, it has started. No stopping that. Sustainable fitness. That's what we'll be talking about on Lifestyle this morning.
And then, as is usual, we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment.
We say...
She's a she.
Not a shim.
She.
That dim.
Stop this shim business. There's nothing like a shim. She is a she. And she's a very interesting she, so make sure you stick around with us.
The musicologist, actologist, or a comediologist. Okay, well, she's not answering me, so while she is still doing what women do, some women do, grab your cup of cocoa.
Oh, cocoa.
Or cocoa. When was the last time you had cocoa? We'll come back to that one. We'll be right back.
A CNG-powered vehicle exploded on Wednesday at a NIPCO CNG station in Aduwawa, Benin City, the capital of Edo State. 3 people were severely injured, including a motorist who suffered eye injuries. The explosion was traced to a cylinder that had been fabricated by a welder without proper approval. The welder has reportedly turned himself in. According to eyewitness accounts, the explosion occurred while vehicles were queuing to refill their cylinders at the station. That is going to make a lot of people very, very scared and worried. But people we need to know more about this.
People are already scared. Forget.
And then this happens.
It just retreated people's fears. And one of the things that Mama West said yesterday, was it yesterday? When we were discussing this, and she just said, you know what? At the end of the day, if we're not careful, you only need one bad press to blow up a good initiative.
Yeah.
And this is just, unfortunately, one of them.
Yes.
But the good thing is at least we were able to trace this to an unauthorized CNG conversion expert. So this is only the beginning of the segment, but I've already drawn a conclusion from this. If you want to go and convert your car, make sure you go to an authorized dealer, in quotes. Dealer. No, the dealer is in quotes. Okay.
He's not a dealer. He's a fabricator. To join us, to talk to us about this today, we have the Program Coordinator, Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Mr. Michael Oluwagbemi. Good morning, Mr. Oluwagbemi.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. We've seen you talking about this, and even on this program, Sunrise, we've spoken a lot about CNG buses and CNG cars, and how it can help, especially now that petrol has gone way beyond the reach of a lot of people. And then this happens, where some people are going to be discouraged, some people are not going to be in a hurry to go convert their cars. What's your take?
Yes, good morning to your viewers, and good morning to you. First, I want to use the opportunity to commiserate with the good people of Edo State, Benin City, with respect to the incidents that happened on Tuesday. Clearly, that was an action that came up from the participation of an unscrupulous element who decided to circumvent the laid down rules and guidelines, and it was quite unfortunate. We know that natural gas, compressed natural gas, is intrinsically safe when properly handled and when properly utilized. We thank God in the case of Edo State that there were no fatalities, and the 3 people that were injured, initially 2 of them were admitted, and now they've all been discharged. But we are already investigating that case. The regulatory authorities, the NMDPRA, had already intervened to investigate that specific case. The Nigerian police, with the state CID, have already taken up the case and have the fellow and the mechanic that undertook the illegal fabrication of CNG cylinder into custody, and we ensure that the full range of the law is brought down on the perpetrators. We do not want a repeat incident. We are learning from the incident, but we already have systems in place to check and to surveil to ensure that this incident does not repeat itself.
Mr. Oluwagbemi, the good thing about this is that people now have seen the danger of going to unauthorized places to have their cars converted. Is your agency, or whatever it is it doing anything to ensure that unscrupulous persons, including welders, do not take advantage of this initiative and do brisk business and cause injury to people?
Yes, we're already taking steps. We actually launched, if you recall, in the month of June, we launched the pilot of the Nigerian gas vehicle monitoring system. The aim of the NGVMS is to bring together the 4 principal regulatory authorities, the Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council, that is responsible for the accreditation of workshops as well as technicians, the Standard Organization of Nigeria that certifies the cylinders, as well as the parts and conversion kits, as well as even OEM vehicles, to make sure that they meet the correct specification and ensures that there are no such incidents. The NMDPRA that regulates the refueling station, which will act as to ensure that only vehicles that are properly converted or OEM inspected are able to refuel at the point of refilling. And of course, the Federal Road Safety Commission that can do enforcement on the road. So these 4 agencies have been working with us. We've already piloted the system. We are going to be rolling out a program to enable already existing converted vehicles. We already have well over 20,000 vehicles in Nigeria that are already converted, to ensure that they are re-inspected and brought into the system. And then we'll provide a period of a sandbox period where people can get their vehicles refilled upon inspection at the refueling site. And then ultimately a period after that, a cutoff period where you only can get your vehicles refilled once you're within NGVMS. So that process is already ongoing. Of course, regulatory processes have to be detailed, have to be thorough. You want to make sure that you're also not preventing and enabling seamless conversion, given the pent-up demand for CNG across the country. So we're working with these 4 critical agencies to ensure that we successfully roll out NGVMS before the end of the year. So this process is already ongoing, was already ongoing, as it were. But of course, it's always a race against time, and a race against people that are trying to who are going to try to circumvent the process. But I think the most important deterrence here, if you ask me, is that we're going to make an example of these people, or any set of people that are insisting on sabotaging the economy, which this amounts to. In this particular instance, I'm working directly with the Commissioner of Police in Edo State. Of course, every accused or allegedly accused is innocent on the proving so in court, but we ensure that the full process of the law is brought thoroughly upon this individual and his collaborators, such that any other person that thinks about doing this again will desist from doing it. And that's what we intend to do in this instance.
You know, you just showed us a number of vehicles right now on the screen, commercial buses all over the place that are already on the CNG platform. And we also know that there are a number of corporate organizations who probably would be using diesel, but have also kind of converted to CNG. But then people use these commercial vehicles with less palpitations or caution. They just get into the bus. They don't know whether it's running on diesel or CNG. They just get on the bus, take their rides, and go back. How reassuring would you say that that is or should be to people?
First and foremost, let me say that compressed natural gas is safer than diesel. It's 8 times less explosive than diesel and 18 times less explosive than petrol. We saw unfortunate incident that happened in Jigawa that we're still counting the dead as we speak over as a result of petrol explosion on Tuesday, actually on Monday. And this often the case 9 out of 10 times when there's a tanker or a petrol or diesel vehicle in a fatal accident, it leads to explosion and fire. It's not the case with CNG. CNG is by far a very, very safe mode of transportation. But like every other thing, any material, you need to ensure safe handling. Even the hydro without the hydrocarbon, I'm talking about water. Mishandling of water can lead to flooding and drowning and all kinds of things. So you will not stop using water or drinking water because your relative got drowned or unfortunately got involved in a flood. You need water to exist. And that's the case here too. I mean, cell phones explode all the time. We've seen cases of cell phones exploding as a result of being plugged to the socket and sleeping on it and mishandling your cell phone. And we don't see people saying they're going to stop using the cell phone because of that. So at the end of the day, you have to put technology in perspective. You must use any technology in the proper way. You must handle it in a safe manner. You must ensure that you are using authorized dealers in terms of conversion and in terms of refueling. You must make sure you stay within the guidelines and the law. And that is what we're saying. Ultimately, this compressed natural gas is a safe form of fueling transportation. It's safer than diesel and petrol, I'll repeat again. And that is the science of an heavy-linked hydrocarbon, like in the case of propane and butane.
Just a quick one, Mr. Oluwagbemi.
Yes.
Please explain to us what happened in Benin and help us get a better understanding. One of the things that we saw was that there was no fire. Now, if it was a petrol tank that exploded the way it happened in that fuel station, we'll definitely be talking about so much more than what we're talking about now. And if it was diesel, it would probably even linger longer, that the fire would probably linger longer. So help us understand what happened in the light of what you just, the response you just gave.
Yes, thank you very much. You're very correct. If it were petrol or diesel, we'll be talking about a lot more fatalities. A lot of fatalities. In this instance, there were none. And you have fire. In this instance, this was triggered not by fire. It was triggered by the fact that you are trying to fill a cylinder that should normally be able to withstand explosion and any kind of implosion if it's properly built and fabricated in the standard form and with the standard material. These cylinders are tested to take pressure of up to 300 bar. In this instance, you had somebody just cobble together a bunch of steel in his workshop and decided to fabricate it and say that's suitable for CNG, even LPG, which is, of course, a heavier fuel, but at lower pressure. It's at 30 psi. That cylinder cannot take LPG, what was fabricated in this instance. It's not meant to be fabricated even in the most advanced cylinder factory. We see that cylinders factory that manufactures CNG cylinders are specialized. If you touch a CNG cylinder or you try to lift it, you see that it's quite heavy, super heavy, many, many pounds heavy, because it's made of specialized steel, seamless, with no welding point, and it's bulletproof. In this instance, this cylinder that is locally fabricated by God who knows who the alleged criminal is cannot even take the smallest of pressure. In our investigation reveals that this was the first time this individual was trying to ever do this refuel, trying to undertake this dangerous activity that ended up endangering the lives of others. So it was the pressure from the refilling, which you will get at a pump, in this case, because the natural gas is compressed, that led to the implosion and explosion, of the cylinder, which is not actually a cylinder. It was just a welded caricature, if you want me to say. So that is the reason why this it was not ignited by fire. It was not a fire safety issue. It was not a mishandling of the fire or of the fire point. Of course, we now need to make sure that going forward, that there are proper steps, procedures to ensure that this kind of incident does not recur, including bringing those people who undertook this activity to the books.
Okay, and possibly also even bring them into the ecosystem, because clearly they are interested. They just need more skills. I don't know if that makes sense. But in previous conversations...
I'm sorry. This is not... No. To undertake cylinder manufacturing, you will need to invest millions of dollars. This is not for your local fabricator. No, this is not the remit of a mechanic.
Oh, no. That wasn't the intention.
Yes. So the cylinder manufacturing.
In fact, the fact that he was interested at all, even if it's just to be cleaning the workshop where they make it, at least he will rent it. But one of the things you said in some previous conversations, that this thing that people just saw on their screens, the cylinder, that there are certain conditions under which things could go belly up. Give us an understanding. One is the one that we are talking about now. Then you also said, in some previous conversations with the press, that one of the reasons that there could be a default is if the installation wasn't done properly. For those who would want to go install, what are the precautions they need to take? What are the things that they need to be aware of? What are the risks that they are taking, so that at least they are mentally prepared, and then they can take due adequate precaution to ensure that those things doesn't happen and their lives are safe and safety measures are insulated?
Yes, I think the first and the most important thing is that please only patronize accredited, authorized workshop. They are the only ones that have the training. They're only ones that are tracked. They're only ones that have the capacity to be able to respond to the technical challenges of conversion. It is very important that these people understand this very well, that they have no business patronizing a local mechanic. So it is important that conversions only take place in conversion workshops that are authorized by the federal government of Nigeria through the NADDC, collaborating with the PCNG. And you can find out these authorized mechanic workshops or these conversion workshops on the NADDC website, as well as on the PCNG website and those. There are not many of them currently. We are constantly and ongoing working with various parties to ensure that we have many of them more around your neighborhoods. We're trying to make sure that we provide and enhance access. When we started this program just last year, we had 7 authorized workshops in the country. We have well over 125 of them across the country today. And under our program directly, we have about 77 to 90 of them as of today, and it's always growing every week. So we are ensuring that we make sure these authorized workshops are available to our people. But please, the technical challenges of conversion, the technical requirements of conversion cannot be undertaken by a roadside mechanic. It amounts to modifying your vehicle, and there's need for retesting and inspection to make sure your vehicle meets the highest safety standards before they release that vehicle back to you. These can only be done in an authorized, accredited conversion workshop. And that is what we are pleading to our people. Of course, we are elevating the game when it comes to awareness. We've been doing our campaign for a while now, but we're doing more of it in view of the incident that just passed this last week. We're also making sure that our authorized and accredited conversion workshops are putting their information out there so that people can access them. We do not want the excuse of lack of access to then lead to folks patronizing roadside mechanics that then endanger the lives of all. In this week, we also provided additional credit for the private sector to be able to access our conversion services and then be able to pay that little by little instead of having to pay cash out of pocket. All of this is meant to enhance access and then to enable this industry in a safe manner, in a reliable manner without endangering the life of the population. Ultimately, like I said again, compressed natural gas is safer, it is cheaper, it is reliable, but we must ensure that any material that you're handling, any chemical material you're handling, especially an hydrocarbon, is properly and safely handled to ensure the safety of all.
Okay, there was something we also got, information in public, that there is a plan by the federal government to create a platform where people can pay piecemeal, pay over time for this infrastructure, for the installation. Please tell us about that if it is true.
Yeah, it's very true. We launched on Tuesday, actually, same day this incident occurred earlier in the morning. We launched alongside our partners at the Credit Corps, is a program of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to enable credit to finance, consumer credit to finance household purchases. So what we're doing is that we're collaborating with them. There was a launch of the CALM Fund, a 10 billion initial fund that allows members of the public who are members of the organized private sector or employed labor, civil servants, to be able to take their vehicles to authorized workshops and then access these credits to finance conversion. You know that an average person using a small vehicle, a Corolla, will save about 50,000 naira a week. What we are saying is that if you do not have, if they're using CNG instead of using PMS, we are saying that if they do not have the money to convert upfront in their pocket and they have reliable salary and employment history and good credit history, they can go into this workshop and pay nothing from day one and rather pay towards this conversion with some of the savings they are generating on a week-by-week basis. They're generating 50,000 naira and you're being told to put 20,000 naira towards conversion for the next 2 years after getting installed upfront. I think that's a good deal for the Nigerian consumer. And that also, of course, allows them to be able to utilize the savings, which is that 30,000 naira a week, to then do other things. Take care of a child, send a child to school, take care of a sick child in a hospital, and maybe give a ward some kind of seed money to start a business. I think this is the way that Mr. President envisions this economy, an economy that works for all, especially the bottom of the pyramid, instead of working for the few. The long years of paying subsidy, I saw my friend, Senator Dino Melaye, yesterday lamenting that he can no longer use his Lamborghini and his Bugatti anymore because fuel is not expensive. That's what we hope happens. We hope people like him are able to now start to be able to pay for their own bill instead of feeding off the poor Nigerians. Rich people like him should pay for their own petrol.
Mr. Nuwagwemi, in that video that was shown earlier, we saw somebody actually go to fill his cylinder, but he opened his engine compartment, not the trunk of his car, as we saw in Benin. And we saw that his cylinder looked a bit smaller than what we saw in that explosion in Benin. Please, can you just explain all that to us?
Yeah, so it's like anything else. Depending on the type of vehicle, for example, your Volkswagen B2, the engine is at the back, not the front. So every car will have its own particular modification capability. But again, this is a decision that is taken at a proper conversion workshop. Also, the size of the cylinder also depends on the range that a vehicle owner wants to go.
Oh.
Some vehicle owners want to go over a longer range, so they will buy a bigger cylinder, or they can afford a bigger cylinder. If you want, you see some vehicles, for example, some buses actually have 2 cylinders, right? So again, it's about how much range do you want to go in terms of movement. So these are decisions that should be taken not by a roadside mechanic, of course, but at a conversion workshop that is properly authorized. And that is why we are saying, make sure you patronize an authorized conversion workshop so that an engineer, a technician that has been trained to do this, will work with you to make the right decision. If you're a long distance traveler, you might decide and you do not need have so much need of your boot space. Maybe you are someone who convey people, you're a chartered vehicle, but you're not the public sector type of vehicle, public mass transit vehicle that carry a lot of luggage. You can decide to fill your entire boot space with 2 cylinders and to get the longer range. And that's the use of your vehicle. So it's going to depend on what you're using the vehicle for, what you want to achieve. And of course, that decision will be taken with someone who's a professional and an expert.
In terms of price, how much cheaper is it to fill a cylinder with CNG than to fill a tank? And apart from that, when a car is converted, does it mean that it can use either gas or petrol?
Yes, to answer your first question first, yes, when a vehicle is converted, it can use both petrol and gas.
Okay.
And
it becomes hybrid automatically.
Yeah, it becomes hybrid because that's the advantage of us doing leveraging this conversion process during this transition, because we're in a transition period. Nigeria is still building infrastructure. We went from about 20 refueling stations last year to 50 today. We're hoping to double that by the middle of by the first quarter of next year. So the infrastructure is still not everywhere. So you still want to have this your hybrid functionality. And the reason and the advantage of pursuing the conversion equation and the conversion strategy, because you can maintain both fuel. And the switching of the fuel is actually quite seamless. You will not know you're in the vehicle. After your CNG finishes, it switches up automatically to the backup petrol, and then you can get to the next refueling station, and then you can refill your CNG and then continue on lower cost fuel. In terms of the savings, we've seen savings of an average of about 90% because of course, the recent increase in fuel prices. Yes, a gentleman who actually a testimony that went viral last week, Monday, from Agidingbi to Ibadan, came in on a 1,750 fuel, and will likely return back with about equal, meaning about 4,000 naira. And normally we'll do that trip for 50,000 naira. So that's even a little more than 90% savings. That's if I do my calculations right. My math's a little rough, even though I'm an engineer. I think it's about almost 92% savings.
You're now more of an administrator than an engineer, so we can understand that. we really...
With that kind of saving, it's certainly worth it.
Yeah, you saw the viral clip as well. You know, we'll have some private conversations about this matter because, you know, one of the things that I know is that people just need to be assured. Once people can be sure, you know, of safety. Yeah, there's a question that somebody asked yesterday, so I'm going to ask you. How many vehicles in the ministries, departments, and agencies, how many vehicles of ministers, of even the president, or in their convoy, are converted to CNG?
You'll be surprised. That's quite a number of our leaders, including myself. I use the CNG vehicle. The Minister of Finance, who's one of the key ministries we're working with, have CNG vehicles in their convoy. The chairman FRS, who's the chairman of our committee, does not just have CNG vehicle. He also has EV. He also has EV vehicles. His private vehicles and his own vehicle, and FRS is EV and CNG in his entire entourage, including his Nord trucks that are all on CNG. Yes, so and in terms of our MDAs, Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police, all are undergoing conversions as we speak. The FEMA, we've signed up with them. They're also undergoing conversion. I tell people this. I say, look, every change happens slowly but surely. You did not look to President Obasanjo to use a cell phone before you started using one. So you should not...
Mr. Oluwagbemi, that one is different. That one is different. I'm not driving inside the car. I can drop the phone and go away. But this one, I'm inside the vehicle. Please don't even go there. Oh, by the way, someone is suggesting something to you, Mr. Oluwagbemi, that for those who have converted, they should put a sticker on their vehicle conspicuously so that people can see it and say, okay, I mean... Yes,
we're already doing that. That's the system I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing that on the NGVMS, the Nigerian Gas Vehicle Monitoring System.
Okay.
So you're going to have conspicuous displays.
Okay, thank you very much. The program coordinator, Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Mr. Michael Oluwagbemi. Thank you very much for coming to educate us this morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Make sure that you stay with us because we're going to have another interesting conversation in just a moment.
Then go they use religion to cause plenty confusion. Sometimes the tribalism, poverty and nepotism. When hunger fire person, you go weak, you know go fit talk again. Today, I say, please go blow.
Of
that girl, that child that we used for the slide. This is the reality of so many people.
yes,
I listened to what the vice president said about the rising cases of poverty in the north, and he mentioned specific states. I don't have those states offhand right now.
it's not just the north; it's the whole country.
Yes, I mean, but
It's the whole country. And remember, before all this happened, we had about 130 million living in
yes.
multi-dimensional poverty.
So, according to the World Bank now, we have rescued 1 million people over the past how many years? Or more people have fallen?
More would have fallen since this inflation and price hikes.
Or maybe it's actually these developments that pulled some people back
into it.
Anyway, the average price of commodities we understand in our country has increased by almost 50% since May last year. The World Bank released the Nigeria Development Update and says over 129 million Nigerians are currently trapped in poverty. The report was released on Thursday and says inflation is forcing millions of Nigerians into hunger. Well, hopefully we'll have 3 gentlemen join us this morning, but let's begin with Mr. Ifeanyi Peters, who joins us from Abuja studio. He's a governance and development expert. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, and good to be here.
Yeah. You have worked with multilateral organizations such as the World Bank as well. So help us understand the basis or the backstory, if you can, to that data that the World Bank released.
All right. Thank you, Ayo, and good morning, viewers. The data that the World Bank released updating our overall macroeconomic status is not surprising in any way, and it has been long in coming. So if you look at the sequence of events over the past years and how we have managed our resources, essentially. The damning report that World Bank released, which, to be honest, we wouldn't have waited for the World Bank to release such reports. We would have our own statistics bureau constantly updating those reports and making sure that they are available and influence government decision-making process. So the background to all of this is the fact that over the years, governance has become predatory. So we have what I'll call predatory leadership that is absent and completely disconnected from the reality and the people. And it is also extractive in nature, in the sense that what you find is that those with responsibility for managing our common wealth that would have helped to put us in a better pedestal than what you got from the World Bank report, and have led to what I will call incremental poverty, impoverization of Nigerians, would have been avoided if the leadership we have over the past years are becoming more sensitive to the needs and aspiration of Nigerians. So you have a shrinking base on what I'll call the social pyramid, whereby more and more people are falling into the poverty trap. I like the heading for this conversation, which is Trapped in Poverty. And the fact that more and more people are constantly living in excruciating poverty, while a very few are living in opulence to the detriment of Nigerians. So that is the backstory. So behind all of this is the decisions we have made over the past couple of years.
Okay. Over the past couple of years.
Have deployed our resources.
Yeah. Over the past couple of years, you said, I think it was in 2022 or thereabout, that Nigeria's NBS, you mentioned the other time, told us that 133 million Nigerians lived in multidimensional poverty. Now we're saying 129 million Nigerians, according to the World Bank, are living below poverty line. They are trapped in poverty. That's the language that is used. Do you see that as any kind of progress for 133 down to 129, or it's up to 129? I don't know. What do you make of that?
So, Ayo and the viewers, it is laughable when we have such numbers, and I will call it tokenism, and maybe a minute shift, if there is any at all, because you have to be sure that that data of maybe about 4 million people or thereabout is actually true. If you look at the indices, multidimensional poverty indicators across Nigeria, coupled with the inflationary trend and the lower purchasing power and other associated problems and challenges Nigerians are grappling with, I'm not sure we have moved the needle at all. If not, it has become worse, in my estimation. And the reality is that you don't need World Bank data. You basically need to move around your neighborhood, depending on where you live, or if you are connected to the poorest of the poor. And you realize that it will probably be worse than 133 million, probably more than that in my estimation, if you get what I mean. So in any case, for me, there's no movement, actually. It is getting worse.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
We've since been joined by a development journalist and the public affairs analyst, Mr. Wale Fatade. Good morning, Mr. Fatade.
Good to see your face again.
Thanks for joining us.
And good morning, how are you?
Morning.
Yes. We are told that about 129 million Nigerians are trapped in poverty. And with events since this administration came into power, has shown that it seems as if people are getting poorer and poorer. So what can people do to raise themselves from this, dare I say, inhuman position in which they live?
Wow. That's a deep question. And I think I'm going to start by answering in what I am doing as a person and as the head of a family in dealing with these tough times. I got a wife who always plants my feet on terra firma, that stop living in the clouds. This is where we are and who we are now. And so there are some items that I love, I enjoy, especially food items, that my wife has been asking that you got to add more money or you chalk this off. And because I don't want to add more money, I agree to them being cut off. And so for food items, people need to look for alternatives. I remember we were taught about plant-based protein and animal-based protein. Surprisingly, animal-based protein is getting more and more expensive. A crate of eggs averagely go for between 5,000, 5,005, 6,000, 6,005, depending on where you get that. So perhaps you might, as sad as it is, you might have to do away with some items on your diet. If a particular kind of milk that I love has gone through the roof, I mean, I've been forced to scale down to another type of milk. We might have to do that. So that's one. Number two, you need to recognize now that not all things are actually compulsory for you. There's some items you can do without. Now, let me give an instance. I was supposed to join you people in the studios today, but I don't have enough petrol for my car. I could not even buy during the week. Every filling station I passed by, there were long queues there. So I needed to shave my coming to the studio for this kind of a virtual appearance. And so every journey now that is not important, you just have to drop that.
Mr. Fadade?
This sounds like lifestyle adjustments.
Maybe for want of better word now, that's the editorial, that's the title you will give to my story.
Yes,
you must make lifestyle adjustment.
Yes, you said one will have to look for alternatives. My question is, are those alternatives any cheaper?
Not in all cases. And you know, that's why I said you put me in a tight spot. Ooh. Because I ask even family members, friends, and relatives now, that those of them with younger children, how do you cope feeding them? Medical science will tell us that the first 5 years of a child are the most important for brain formation. And so if a crate of egg is going for 6,000 in your neighborhood, what alternative does someone have for a young child?
None.
None. And so you are making me not to be too, you put me in a top position in answering that question.
Okay. Well, growing up, you had the option of either custard or pap. I'm sure that,
yes.
you know.
Yes, I remember. My mother never allowed custard. She was always for pap.
You know, as funny as this is, it's not even funny at all because, I mean, as a development journalist that you are, looking at some of the comments that have been made by the leaders, and first of all, the fact that, okay, let me ask you this. There are those who have said over time that we had been living a lie before, that we were actually walking on the brink of poverty, on the brink of recession. We actually literally live as a nation on the brink of recession because any small trigger and then we're back in recession. And then the fact that there are so many things that were wrong. The subsidy was a problem, ab initio, subsidy on petrol, subsidy on electricity, and some living large scenarios of quite a number of government agencies that we've been living a lie over time. But now the rubber is meeting the road because Nigeria, as some people say, is broke. I mean, how can you be broke when you have so much money? There are those who also said that the intervention of the NNPCL over time in helping out with the subsidy was also not sustainable. And now we are where we are. Mr. Peters said earlier that, look, all of the things that are happening now were a long time coming. What's your take, Mr. Fatadi?
I think you and I as journalists, we know this. That is just one side of the story. That is not all the sides to that story. The question you ask is, who have been the person making all the decisions, as it were, economically for a country like us in the past years? It's been our government. It's been people in positions of public power. Positions of power rather, who have been deciding for us. And so, as a matter of fact, what choices have Nigerians made that led us to where we are now? And when people speak of ostentatious lifestyle, who are those ones that have been living ostentatiously? An average Nigerian is like that gentleman that was choked to death in the US some years back, cannot breathe. who have been the ones that are getting 14 million naira per month. I'm not sure, I don't know how many Nigerians earn beyond 100,000 or 150,000. We've been dilly-dally on minimum wage of 70,000 for how many months now? That's another angle. Then the other angle is that, when people speak of subsidies, we should not speak of subsidy in a vacuum. Many countries globally subsidize different things for their citizens, for them to live in harmony and peace. Let's take, for instance, something I'm familiar with. The farming or agriculture industry in America is heavily subsidized. The United States go as far as fighting WTO for their farmers. So why in some European countries they are cutting subsidy for their farmers, the United States of America, and by the way, those who farm in America, they are not up to 5% of their nearly 400 million population, but they are still subsidized. And so when we speak of subsidy, we should not speak of subsidy in a vacuum. And I think a little bit of subsidy, depending on critical areas of a nation, are necessary so that you keep that country going. Even when you look at OPEC countries, those whose oil capacity, production capacity now is higher than Nigeria, they are actually subsidizing their citizens.
But, you know, just as you said, you know, we got here because of such interventions. It was in the 70s that the federal government of the day decided, okay, now that we make a lot of money from oil, let's begin to give our people some stuff. And now, as a result of that, there are those who believe that it was because of that exercise, and let me take this to Mr. Peters right quick. It was because of that intervention that began at that time that the federal government, Nigeria, began to take its eye away from its sustenance, which was agriculture. We began to take our face away from what kept us, from what gave us the first TV station, what gave us the groundnut pyramids, the wealth that were in the Southeast at the time. So what's your take on that? Particularly in the light of what Mr. Fatadi said, that look, a little subsidy one way or the other is good. There are those who also said, why not just subsidize production as opposed to subsidizing lifestyles?
Reflecting on our journey so far and how we made that transition from production to consumption. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good. From when we made that transition from production to consumption because of the oil wealth. So we got trapped in the oil costs, and we were unable to leverage the opportunity of investing wisely in production. As you can imagine, in those same early 70s, of course, there was an ambitious industrialization plan in those early 70s through to the 80s, where you had the plan for the refineries, plan for the steel industries, plans for auto manufacturing, and all of those other grandiose plans that Nigeria has. And they were actually working until we started subsidizing consumption, which is the consumption of petroleum products. Now, there's nothing wrong with subsidy if it is properly managed. But you have to have the infrastructure to manage subsidies properly so that there will be accountability. And the subsidy is targeted at production, like I have said earlier on. So if you start subsidizing importation of fuel, for instance, you are basically throwing away your resources and enriching other countries. But if you have built significant transport infrastructure, you are subsidizing production for agriculture, for instance. You are subsidizing production of certain goods and services that could make Nigeria become more competitive, meet local demands, and sufficient for export, so that you expand your revenue base and income. We will not be in the kind of challenge that we have been in today. So our attempt at responding has been knee-jerk, starting from dashing out money, by awarding salaries in the 70s through to subsidizing of petroleum products. And then when the gradual removal of petroleum subsidies started, we started inventing all manner of poverty reduction framework, starting with, of course, prescription from multilateral institutions like IMF and World Bank. That started with the poverty reduction strategy papers that led to the first austerity measures imposed by the then military government that led to huge devaluation of our naira. Growing up, I used to know that our naira was at par or even higher than the dollar because it has strength because of our production. Gradually, all of that was eroded, and we moved from knee-jerk response by, starting things like National Poverty Eradication Program, NAPEP. From NAPEP, we walked through that to, I think there's one that was implemented, the Presidential Task Force, PTF, which reinvested subsidy money into the system. We also have what you call the subsidy reinvestment scheme. Different government has responded to it, but still, in my estimation, all of these things are tokenism. They are not sustainable.
But
there's
one you forgot.
No structural system.
Well, Mr. Peters, there's one you forgot in the 80s into the 90s. Better life for rural dwellers. Please don't even go there right now.
Better life for rural women.
Better life for rural women. Yeah. Well,
thank you, Ayo, for reminding me. Yeah.
Let me come back to Mr. Fatade. 129 million Nigerians, according to the World Bank, living below the poverty line. 133 million Nigerians, according to the National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria, in 2022, living in multidimensional poverty. What's concerning for me and where the question is coming from is that the host, a good number, a higher percentage of those people are in northern states that have governors that, according to the federal government, now get more allocation from the federation account. Is there something that could have been done or that should be done now to begin to reduce these numbers, particularly from the subnational level? I ask this question because I always say this: the federal government has citizens, and anyone can tell me if I'm wrong. The federal government has citizens. States have indigents and residents. So I'm wondering if you think indeed the state governments have a significant work to do, even though the federal government's policies seem to be biting so hard. We can't just continue to throw our hands up in helplessness, can we?
Now, thank you. In as much as we focus attention on our northern brothers and sisters, and rightly so, I dare tell us, some of the things we see in the north today, they are already incubating, and some are already hatched in other parts of Nigeria. For instance, the Southwest used to be the bastion of education. Have you seen our public schools, both primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions? Have you seen under which conditions students are learning? And so let's not, we can rightly focus attention on the north because of the grim data that we get from that place. But some of those conditions are already under our very noses in the southwest of Nigeria. That's one side. Then the other side, this is like that kind of analogy of chicken before the egg chicken, which one comes first? Citizens have been disempowered. Citizens have been largely disenfranchised. They have largely been under the jackboot of governors and leaders, political leaders in our states, that demanding accountability is an impossibility for them now. So when people have been so pauperized in their thinking, in their way of living, in their ways of living rather, how do they even know what belongs to them, what is their right? And so we must get means of our leaders, public officers now, doing the right thing, making the right decision. Now, look at the fuel tanker accident in Jigawa. I mean, it's extreme poverty that can only push someone close to something that was just a minute or some few minutes away from disaster. And so that's the kind of devilry that people are faced with. And so people are forced to make Obesian choices. And so when we ask them to demand accountability from their leaders, do they even know the kind of accountability they should be demanding?
And then how do they demand that accountability, Mr. Fatadi? Because these governors, these chairmen, these legislators, they are insulated, sort of, from the people. You can't reach them anymore.
One of the ways we can do that, I mean, and I'm always careful when you blame people for selling their votes. You remember that Yoruba proverb that a well-fried dog is sweet, but before the dog is fried, what do? And so if I'm going to wait for 4 years of pauperization and somebody is offering a token right now, does it not make better sense to somebody like that? Let me just grab whether it's 5,000 or 1,000 naira. And so we need a massive sensitization that people will know that leaders must be accountable. That leaders are not doing us any service beyond what is expected of them when they pay salaries and wages of workers as at when due. When our hospitals are efficiently run, when our schools have enough teachers, when our students are not learning in derelict buildings, when they are not learning. I mean, there was one terrible story, whether from our Osun state, about how a group of schools, in fact, in our own dear Ibadan, how when it rains, the teachers and students all do together in just one classroom in Ibadan. So what are we saying? And then there's that other side of citizens now that have been so desensitized to their environment. They have been so desensitized to governance systems that all of us are involved. So if I refuse to blame Anayo Makinde today, who is my friend, because he's in government, so that by the time Wale Fatade is in government, he will not blame me, all of us will bear the brunt, not just in the future, right from the now. And so citizens need to be sensitized, they need to be concerned, and then our other means of organizing ourselves, our resident association, our CDAs, our the cooperative society that we do in our local government, in our local areas, the kind of religious organizations we all belong to, which have been proven over time to be seen as viable instrument of cohesion, they should be strengthened. And so all students, beyond renovating school walls, beyond building school walls or rebuilding, they need to ask accountability from the principal, from the headmasters, from the commissioner for education, that what is happening with our old school. You know, there's this thing, and I'm sure sociologists and psychologists will have different theories to explain this. An average Nigerian, when he's pushed, instead of him to ask, why are you pushing me, he will try to make himself comfortable in that area you are pushing him into. This is part of what has led us to where we are.
Okay. Mr. Peters, let me take you back a bit. When you spoke about we went from consumption to, from production to consumption. It seems to me like we now have to go back to the basics. And you're talking production, and you're talking industries as well. How do you see us getting back to that in a society where nobody wants to go to the farm? Everybody wants a white-collar job, and everybody wants, if possible, to make plenty of money without doing anything or doing much.
Thank you, Alero. That's a very good question, and it speaks to our societal challenges. But those societal challenges are actually the byproduct of the decision of government to push Nigerians into poverty, just like Mr. Fatade said, that if you push Nigerians to a particular point, they'll devise a means to find some comfort within that. It's not true that majority of Nigerians wants white-collar job. No, it's not true. It's also not true that people don't want to farm or be involved in agriculture. It's not true. The reality is that the environment that encourages enterprise and production has largely been eroded. And so for us to make progress, we will need to, first of all, redefine our approach to education. What kind of education are we giving our children? Are we preparing our children to be competitive? That's very key. In a sense that, are we focusing on industry-specific skills that will grow our economy? If you look at most advanced economies, they focus on specific skills that is needed to grow their economy. And so we have several institutions that are basically shaping people to graduate and search for a white-collar job, but not becoming skilled artisans or entrepreneurs that are focused on production. So the focus for government should be to review our current focus on education and the curriculum that we have, and make sure that, look, all of these things are taken into consideration by being clear about our direction of travel. Where do we want to be in, say, 30 years? What kind of economy? So there is this grandiose plan of becoming $1 trillion economy. That's fine. But what are the stepping stones that gets us there?
Oh.
There must be clarity around that. And there must be almost like razor-sharp focus on achieving those steps and indicators that will lead us to that. Secondly, if moving away from education, we also need to create incentives for medium-scale enterprises to flourish. And how does medium-scale enterprises flourish when the national grid, the electricity grid is constantly collapsing? There is no access to power. We have severe energy poverty in the country today. So for you to run any production outfit or run any small businesses, you have to basically generate your own power. And right now, fuel have gone over the roof. We're talking, I was listening previously to the last session of the program talking about conversion to compressed natural gas. But we have gas in abundance. We have to also make efforts to produce those cheap fuel that is able to power our economy. And so for years, we've not been able to increase our megawatts. And even if we increase it, we cannot distribute them. So without that, the production we are aiming to achieve will not be achieved. We also need to focus on some strategic industries that we need to promote. Yeah, what are those strategic industries that we need to promote? And then government provide incentives for them, well-managed incentives. I underline that word, well-managed incentives, because what we've seen over the years has been abuse of incentives. Yeah, government has good intention by rolling out incentives to support growth of some aspects of our industries. But the challenge has been the accountability mechanism, this system that makes sure that all of those things are delivered without abuse. So if we strengthen our system to make sure that those things are driven by the desire to deliver, and then also remove every obstacles that lead to the abuse of those incentives. So if you look back, good intention when they started subsidizing fuel, but why should we keep that for such a long time? Why wouldn't we make our local refineries work? Why wouldn't we create a value chain in refinery, for instance, that will see Nigeria as one of the best when you come to refining petroleum products, because we also produce as well. So why don't we do that and have a value chain that is working for us? And that means we are not consuming, we are producing, just using that. In agriculture, people want to go into agriculture, but insecurity is a problem even for rural farmers. And then an archaic agricultural practice is also an issue. That means we need to improve our farming method to make it more attractive to the younger population. That is something that needs to be. And then outside that, we need to then add value to our products. There are several efforts. So if you go right now to most shops, you find out that a lot of local processing is happening. But that needs to be ramped up.
Okay, Mr. Peters.
So that we need to
add
try
and get
to all of our products.
We need to try and get as much as possible into this, because we will soon start winding down. So let me just take what you said earlier to Mr. Fatade. Mr. Fatade, it looks like we need to come to the terms that we are in dire straits. Nigeria is broke. Nigeria is, well, Nigeria is not poor, but her citizens are living in poverty.
Yeah.
So at this point, Mr. Peter spoke about strategic industries earlier. What strategic industries should we be looking at now? And shouldn't our leaders be working out a vision for us? Since we are at the bottom of the pit right now, by so many years' time, we want to be here and here and here. Give us some kind of vision. Where are you taking us? Then we'll begin to talk about how we are going to get there.
Now, you've merged a lot of things together. But the first thing is what the Americans say. When you are in a hole, stop digging. We are still digging further. And we are going deeper into poverty. So, apart from optics alone, our leaders should stop pretending as though we still have more money left. So, they should stop living in affluence. When a jet was smuggled in, that's the right phrase, is it the presidential jet that we still need at this time? How many planes are in the presidential fleet? Can we start by reviewing? And I'm sure many of us, including our listeners, or those who are watching us, have seen they've seen the motorcade of the president, the vice president, the Senate president. I had the unfortunate thing of being caught in the Lagos airport one day with the Senate president, where I sat in my car. I counted 32 vehicles in that convoy. I was in a state in the southwest. In the convoy of the governor of that state was 54 vehicles. And so we must cut down on that. That's one. Number two, it's obvious that managers will tell us about the SWOT analysis as strength. We can see as today, Nigerians are in the forefront in music, in entertainment, in drama. Can we maximize that more? The state of California, where you have Hollywood, is rated as the largest economy in America. As a matter of fact, if California were to be a country, it's about the 4th or 5th largest economy globally. So it's not because they are, and that is not Silicon Valley in Seattle. They actually have Silicon Valley too. So, so we need to maximize our strength in music, in entertainment, in the arts, as it were. And then our young people are doing fantastically well in IT. And by the way, whichever industry is doing well in Nigeria, it has no government intervention. Every time the government enters the other sector, they run it down. So look at the hub we have in Yaba. Look at the fantastic things our young people are doing in IT. We must maximize that. Good enough that we saw a minister for technology or whatever, and the vice president trying to negotiate 5G or whatever for in Sweden. But at the moment, is that what we actually needed? With our government intervention, those people are doing well. And then the last thing, so for me, those are the two critical areas. Okay. Then the third one is food, agriculture. And I'm happy the other gentleman said that when people saying that go to farm, those who are saying that Nigerians are not going to farm, that means you don't know who the farmers are. I interact with farmers. I do a little bit of farming on a small scale. And I know the major impediment to sustainable farming in Nigeria is security. Across north, the east, the south, the west. And so fix our security.
Essentially, gentlemen, what you are saying is we know what the problem is. We know what the solutions are. So let's start
tackling them.
So let's get on.
So let's just get on with it. And no stories. We know what the problem is. You know what the solution is. Let's get up and do it. And talking about electricity, both of you have talked about electricity. Mr. Peters talked about the national grid. We understand that as about 8:16 this morning, almost all of the discos were reporting 0.00 megawatt.
Oh dear.
So
again,
whether or not that was around the time power was cut in my house.
So whether or not that's a national grid collapse again, I guess the federal government is going to have to come out to tell us. But gentlemen, we have to thank you for your time him this morning. Mr. Wale Fatade is a development journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
As well as Ifeanyi Peters, a governance and development expert. We sincerely appreciate your time and your insight today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's 2 down. Next, we want to talk about water, but not the way you like. So we'll be right back. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
someone is about to take some Yoruba lectures right now. Go ahead.
Please, before I continue, take note. My name is Alero. I am not Yoruba.
That's why I say you are in class.
Residents of communities in Isheri, Arekpo, Lafenwa, Warewa, and other adjoining areas along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in Ogun State were thrown into panic on Monday following a flood scare due to the release of water from the Onyon River Dam by the Ogun-Osun River. According to the management of the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development, well, the MD is right here. The water released is to ensure the safety of lives and property in Kara, Ikosiketu, Mile 12, Ajegunle, Owode, Odo Ogun, Agboyiketu, local government development areas.
Local council development.
Local council development.
See, you didn't miss the names, you missed that one. Why? Anyway, go ahead.
It was too much effort trying to pronounce those names properly. Well, nobody is frowning, so I must have got all of them right. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Managing Director and CEO of the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority, Dr. Adedeji Ashiru. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
And thank you for joining us. And we also have Mr. Dayo Anyodokun, Chairman, Oshorun Estate, Opik Estate.
Good morning.
Sherry, good morning.
It's good to be here.
We only see you when there's floods.
Well, I would have wished I'm here for a different reason. I was there last year. China is a good neighbor, so to say, and it's always good to be here. But I would have wished to be here
for other things.
For other things, not
apart from the flood. Okay, I'm glad that we have the CEO of the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority with us. I mean, he's going to tell us exactly what happened.
Oh, what
Dr.
happens?
Ashiru.
Good morning. Nice having me here today. I think there's been a kind of a misconception about the water release from Onyon Dam. I resumed the office as a CEO, I think in May this year. And what we've done, or my resumption, is to release water gradually from the dam. And it's so interesting that while those releases were going on for the past 5 months, there was no flooding in the sharing. Now, it's scientific in a way because the Onyon Dam is built for so many things. And one of the main functions of the Onyon Dam so today is flood and erosion control. And I must say that the leaders that concept the idea, the idea of building the Onyon Dam has done very well. We touch Onyon Dam today. I can tell you the Sherry community, part of Abeokuta, especially the Sherry community on a floodplain, will have been totally consumed. That will not be a sharing. That you must give kudos for us having Onyon Dam. Having said that, Onyon Dam is a transboundary. The river that comes to Onyon Dam, which is the Onyon River, is transboundary river, and the Ogun River is also transboundary as well. Downstream of the Onyon Dam, we have 52 tributaries, ungated. There are rivers that are not gated, which means that once there is inflow, it just flows. There is no control. Whereas Oyon Dam is the only gated river dam that flows into Ogun River. And what that has done for us and for the entire community is it has controlled the amount of flood that should have water that should have come downstream, coming from upstream. It also been interesting to know that this year alone we have released 1.7 billion cubic meter of water. I repeat.
Without any flooding?
Yes, 1.7 billion cubic meter of water. The capacity of a young dam is just 270 million. And we'll be able to do a gradual release based on the NIMET prediction, based on our data, past data, and release gradually. In the month of May, we release. You want to ask me something?
So what happened on Monday that there was flooding?
On Monday, there was flooding. I mentioned earlier that two tributaries, which are downstream Oyon Dam, which Oyon Dam has no control over. Okay. Therefore, if there's any, I've said it over and over again since my resumption in office, if I make part of it boldly, saying that if I have to just look at Oyon Dam alone, I can guarantee there will not be any flooding downstream, which is sharing. What happened on Monday, right? Now the inflow that comes from the upstream was high, right? And as of that Monday, the Oyon Dam, we've created reservoir capacity, which as of today, we still have capacity of about 48% capacity in the reservoir. Our gates, we have 4 gates for flood control. 4 of the gates, the radial gates, only 2 have been opened since May. And those 2 gates are open at 12%.
Only?
Only. 12% only. We have other 2 gates still closed today. Have not been open since May, since I resumed. As of yesterday, the gate release is about 11.9 or 11.89%. Meaning that if you go to Oyon Dam this morning for inspection, now we still have capacity to hold about almost 120 million cubic meter of water.
Okay. Mr. Ayodoku, what happened to your estate this week?
Okay.
The last time we saw you, this whole area was underwater.
Okay. Thank you again for being here. And let me start by congratulating my friend and my brother, Dr. Ashiru, for his new role. I think he's a welcome development. He's somebody I know that he will do justice to a lot of things that is happening there. Now, coming back to the perennial flood in our community, like I said in my exchange when we came in, I would have wished to be here for a different reason. Unfortunately, we are here
for the same reason.
For the same reason. To put it in context, people within this community dread the months called October and November. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when will the flood come. So we've lived with it for quite a number of years now. The question on our mind is, first and foremost, we've moved away from blaming game. Oh, it should be this, it should be that. The approach we have adopted 2 years back is more of collaborative. There's a problem that needed to be solved. We need to bring all the stakeholders and sincerely solve that problem. I think that is our objective, our view for the past 2 years. So what happened is what we expected to have happened. The sad part of it is the kind of harrowing experience that people go through that period. This period, businesses, activities shut down. At an aggravated level, a lot of people have to move from their houses, lose material. I brought some video of what the situation is in this community as we speak. I'm not only talking about my estate, which is a Oshoron estate. I'm talking about the whole community. Just like 30 minutes ago, I was, wading through water with the executive of ISECOM, because they are visiting every estate to know the extent of the flood. So just 30 minutes ago,
How bad was the flooding in Oshoron on Monday?
It wasn't bad, but we woke up this morning because we've been trying to manage it, To put it in context again, in the last 12 months, we've deployed a lot of resources because we expect this to happen. Things like improving our draining point, we've installed new non-return valves. We have to invest in pumping machine. Infrastructurally, we've also continued our embankment of the estate perimeter. We've also at some time have to raise the road level. These are some of the investment that we have put in place in the last 12 months. Yourself. And it's not only in our estate, it is in the entire community.
Let me ask you, based on what your friend, Dr. Ashiru, said earlier, that they'd been trying to do this for about 5 months, there was no issue. Was there, do you think, can you trace any development, any improvement from previous years?
Okay. That's why I started by saying it is no longer a blaming game. Now,
no, I'm just asking so that if, in case there are things that he needs to know, so that he will take them on going forward.
I would rather, at his best, we might not see much improvement. At his best of his own effort or the effort of his team, we might not see much improvement. He has highlighted some of the.
And why is that?
Because from what he has said, by the way, the problem, the challenges, and the solution for this entire flood scenario are well documented. There are reports that have been commissioned. There are both by World Bank.
Which area is this on the screen? Just a second. Which area is this on the screen, Mr.?
This is somewhere opposite GRA. I've forgotten. Okay, this is inside my own estate this morning. This is this morning's.
This morning?
Yes. This morning. I think there will be some other.
Has it been raining?
It's not been raining, so that is the point. The level of the Kara River has been rising over the weeks. Okay. Many of the estate borders the river. So as the water level in the river rises, it will find its way into the drainage. Then from there,
can I speak to that?
Okay.
Now, I mentioned that Ogun River is a transboundary river.
Yeah.
Meaning that if there's rain in Port Novo, if there's rain in Shaki, heavily,
or even
as
those
outside at Port Novo, right, the water, the inflow from the upstream will come down to the side, to the Ogun River. And I said there are tributaries that feed Ogun River. Therefore, the water from outside the country still flow into Ogun River. Now, we may not probably be experiencing rain here in the country like this morning. That's rightly said, no rain this morning, and they woke up and they find this. And as of this morning, right, we've reduced the gate opening to about 11.8%. And we still have capacity, about 42% reservoir capacity to absorb water from upstream.
Is it likely, I'm sorry, this is just my brain working, is it likely that from what you have said now, the flooding that we've experienced up country is also part of the supply?
Exactly, yeah, absolutely.
Kogi and other parts?
Absolutely. You see, as a responsible government, what the federal government have done recently is to find a way of, bringing kind of a relief to people in this community. And that's why Mr. President approved the dredging of the Ogun River. We know that Ogun River is one of the major problems because it's a transboundary river. By dredging that river, that was flagged off about 4 weeks ago. We flagged that project off. We want to do the dredging in phases to create capacity, even in Ogun River, to take those inflow from the upstream. But I must say, we need to be very frank here, the entire office sharing is on a floodplain.
So human beings shouldn't be living here?
Should not be living here. What government should do at this time, in honesty...
Excuse me, here where we are now?
Yes, you are in a floodplain.
Okay,
And that's the reality. And we must say the truth. Even whatever we are doing now, whatever measures we are putting in place now, is just a form of palliative.
So where are you going to evacuate us to? Don't answer that question.
Okay, so...
and I suppose that goes for Shonru Estate as well.
Yes, I think we've been hearing that for years, that we're on the floodplain. And like I said, we are not here for blaming games. But let me say, one of the most documented and flood situation that has received government attention over the years is this community. Remember in 2010, Governor Goodluck Jonathan was here.
Governor?
Sorry, President Goodluck. Please pardon me for that. President Goodluck Jonathan was here in person, and he flew over this entire area to have a sense of what is going on. And subsequent government has also been, coming around. It has become a kind of a jamboree, kind of. The only president that I know, probably, if my memory serves me, that wasn't here is President Muhammadu Buhari. But all throughout his tenure, he always sent people here. Just last year, we were in this studio, and thankfully, even if you don't do anything, at least show empathy. We thank Governor of Ogun State, President Dapo Abiodun. He was here 2 days after we made his appearance. He came with all the commissioners. A few days after, the federal might also, came here. 3 ministers were around. So we've seen this year in, year out, and we're having this fatigue of, people turning our plight into, I'm not saying it negatively, but it has become a yearly occurrence. What we want is a solution. There are solutions to this. Yes, maybe Oyo Dam might be a contributor to what is happening. Like you mentioned, there are other sources of water that comes here. We need to look at the solution rather than this blaming game. There are short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions to this. And I think over the year, why we are still stuck where we are is because we've always been, hugging the short-term solution. Short-term is just palliative, just to wait through that situation. But what are you doing to put a permanent solution to this? And they are well documented. People in government are aware. The willpower to bite the bullet, I think that is what is lacking here.
But Mr. Ayodoko,
yes.
If you recall, when you were here last year, that flooding was the worst I had seen in this area since channels moved to this location, which means that compared to last year, this year is already better.
Can you say
we are in the middle of, almost at the end of October already, and we have not seen flooding like we saw last year.
I almost shared the same excitement you were a few days back until we woke up. You see, we can't put a time stamp on it. Oh, it will come by 1 p.m. If you allow me to make this point, we can't put a time stamp. Definitely, like I said, we know it will come.
But it may not. We're approaching the end of October.
Okay, so that's what we felt, what we thought. And we can see some video here. Like I said, you see, there are short-term, long-term,
what's the short-term
solution? Short-term is what we've always been doing. Okay, which is what he said, let us manage the release of water. It's short-term.
Medium-term?
Medium-term are things infrastructure you need to put on ground. I have a couple of things here.
Yeah. So you respond to each one of them. I just
so he mentioned dredging. Is part of, it depends on where you are dredging. It's part of either short or medium term. Dredging is very important because when you widen those tributaries or the river bed,
because the Bar Beach hasn't been overflooded in how many years now, and it's all thanks, I think, partly to the dredging.
Yes, so that's why we are aligning, but we might not converging at this point. The point I'm trying to make is that yes, dredging is part of it. I also must appreciate the leadership in this community, and that is very important if you allow me. This is a very organized community. There's a group called CNG Group, and thanks to the gentlemen there, I'm sure they've probably met with the leadership of Onyo Dam, people like Engineer Smith and Engineer Falade, if I'm correct, and also the chairman of Visecom, and all the... So what we have done in the last 12 months, it's not as if we've gone to bed since the last incident. We've been, and thanks to Ogun State government, they were able to provide us with swamp boogie that did opened up some of this channel, that helped. We were there for like almost 3 months.
You haven't really told us what this medium solution you are proposing.
Okay, so part of the medium solution is also dredging. But beyond dredging, on this axis, wherever the water is coming from, there must be a form of dike, around this place. Okay. Water we always find is
guide the water away from residential.
To where it should be. That
was a long term.
Yeah, long term for me is we need to review the objective of Onyo Dam. Like you mentioned, I've been to the dam a couple of times. Onyo Dam is for several purposes. It's for flood control. It's for aquaculture, which is for rearing of fish and the rest. It's for irrigation. It's for supply of water to both Lagos and Ogun. If I'm wrong, please correct me. At this critical point, well, those ideas were conceived to serve all those multipurpose. At this critical point, and with this recurrent issue of flooding, is it not time for us to recalibrate what the objective, this main objective of that is number one, that is long term. The other long term is that we need to have an overlay of another dam.
Okay.
Because
that will reduce the pressure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So well, I think those are some of the things I will...
Before you respond, I need to ask him one more question, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you in dialogue with them?
We've always been. It just resumed. The previous
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months.
Yes, like I mentioned,
okay,
a couple of our people have met with. I'm sure they've met with you,
leadership of your community,
leadership of the community, and they were being in constant communication. And give it to one of the short-term medium is also. Short-term solution is to communicate the release of water, and that has been done effectively.
Okay.
The reason why I said we focus on the short term, so as to alleviate the problem on ground as at that point, but we've not beaten the bullet for those medium and long-term solutions.
But you don't also think that the controlled release is talked about earlier was helpful?
It will help, but there's a limitation to that. And from what he has also said, if you control what is coming from Onyo Dam, how about other sources?
Okay.
As long, I must say this, as long as the focus is on Onyo Dam, then I can tell you there will not be any solution to a sharing. Okay. That's the truth.
Where should the focus be?
The focus, we should look at it globally and look at what is the solution. Now, when you focus on Onyo Dam as a problem to the flooding, then you have already, if you cannot identify the problem, If you have a wrong identification of the problem, then you can't provide a solution.
Part of the reason you said there are other tributaries.
Right?
Okay.
There's something
which are
said
controlled,
about building another dam.
Okay.
Right? That has not to do with, see, I came here with this drainage map showing the meteorological and rainfall stations, right? You can see somewhere here, you have the Onyo Dam, you have the Onyo River somewhere here, and you have the Ogun River, which I said are transboundary river. Now, the Onyo Dam was built to collect all the water coming from the Onyo River from the transboundary. That dam, yes, is built somewhere around here. It's 270 million cubic meter of capacity, right? As of this morning, we have excess capacity in the dam as of this morning, which is over 100 million cubic meter of water. But you see, downstream of Onyo Dam, we have other rivers, other tributaries, which is not gated. Therefore, the focus we should leave Onyo Dam. But having said that, as a responsible government, what we have done also is this, in terms of water usage for irrigation. Now, to also help with the flow of water upstream, before we even get to Onyo Dam, we have a place called Bansa. In our 2025 budget, we are doing a massive irrigation project in Bansa, which we've already put in the budget for 2025. To also, that's for the water usage, so that the water that is coming upstream, even before getting to Onyo Dam or to Ogun River, that water can be channeled. Also in 2025 budget, we have weirs. We are building. We are constructing weirs. Those weirs are also to slow down the flow of water down to the sharing. Somewhere in Mokolokin, we have a weir in Mokolokin. And we have irrigation projects also in Mokolokin. Now, the reason also for that, the reason of the weir is to also slow down the flow of water, even when you release water from Onyo Dam, to slow it down. That water there in the weir in Mokolokin, the Olorunshogo power plant, is also taken from that water for the cooling of their power plants. Now, the government is doing a lot to give, just a medium solution.
Which doesn't seem to be affecting their lives.
Yes.
They still have flooding.
Because the management of the estates, right, they've commended the effort that Ogun River Basin have put in, since my resumption in office. We've had meetings with them. Part of the medium solution, term solution, is the dredging of the Ogun River, which we've already commissioned. The contract has been awarded. We did a flag off. Currently now, they are doing the survey of the river. By next week, the contractor will move to site. I want to commend Mr. President for this. Going to be in different phases, But as I said, all these are medium-term solution.
So,
now, the passage,
be patient.
Passage for the water flow. When you have structure built on the water channel, here in the area, right, people have built houses on the channel. There were some houses has to go.
But doctor, I'm sure they have C of O.
Beyond that,
well,
somebody approved the building of those properties.
Exactly.
Well, that is left for the state government. Either if they are on the Ogun State side or they are on the Lagos State side. For the fact, madam, for the fact that somebody has built a house, we see what is happening in Lagos. Happened in Lagos recently, that people build on the water channel, and they claim they have CFO. Until the Lagos State government, as a responsible government, moved in and said, you have built on canals, you have no CFO here. People get CFO through backdoor. Doesn't mean that people have built a house, mean that they have a CFO. We need to establish that. And I think, this also may probably cause the Lagos State government or state government to go into, to investigate and see if people truly have a CFO, the right to build on the water channel.
Okay, so I think that rhetoric has always been there. People build on water channel. And I don't think in many of the cases it's accurate. You see, that's why I said we have not.
It's true that people built on water channels.
That might not be accurate, because we've
Has
had
there ever any government official come to do some kind of audit?
People come in every day. Government officials come in every day. People get their building approval. They're still getting building approval every day. Now the point is this: you see, I wouldn't want us to go into that area of we're throwing.
What if it's so? I'm sorry.
Okay.
What if indeed it's Dr. Ashiru is correct that some people built on floodplain?
Then the government should,
water channels.
the law take its course. But I'm saying it categorically. Let us look at the water.
Take its course.
Yes. Let us look at the course of the river. I don't know.
How? He also heard, is there a validity in what he said that there are 52 ungated, unmanned, uncontrollable tributaries?
Valid.
Yes, you can see them here.
But now we are converging to a point of solution.
Yeah.
I said over the years.
And we have to converge quickly because we have less than 2 minutes.
Okay, so I've said over the time, we've had the good communication on the water release. Those data were provided, but that has not taken away the problem. We've mentioned here, he also said a lot of those tributaries are not gated. What's the solution? Gated or divert the dynamics of the water to something that is more useful? Let me say lastly here, when you say people are on the floodplain, people are already here, and on their home, they've made a lot of effort to make this place livable. We are making a simple request from government, and those are not too much. Do a band wall. You have a river course that is going. Each estate has been investing in that. Can government come in and do something along that line? Dredge the water dredge the river like you are doing. These are things that are well documented. I think we need to come to subnational level. And I think this area should be a joint venture project between Lagos and Ogun. I understand where building needs to go. Unfortunately, maybe for the sanity of everybody, it has to go. But I seriously doubt if that is so significant or that will impact or change. There are other high impact
I think I'm very happy that you said something that, there's been some kind of resolution sorts that whatever needs to give. I remember the Commissioner for the Environment in Lagos having to go from one place to the other. And they had to pull down not just houses. They had to pull down estates.
Whole estates.
In some cases. Yes. Because they were on the floodplain. Because they were on water channels. Now, if that existed, and some people are doing things that they shouldn't have done in the first place, the fact that it is wrong, and it has subsisted for 50 years, does not make it right. Someone can come one day and say, look, we need to put things right.
What we're against is that blanket statement that people have lived here.
What if it is correct? That's the point.
If it is correct,
yes.
The extent is like you mentioned, if you are solving the wrong
essentially
problem.
you are saying that the government should rewrite, sorry sir, you are saying that the government should rewrite the plan, the physical planning, whatever, of the state, simply because some people did something right, and it's going to cost them.
That's not what I'm saying. I've said the law should take its course where people build the wrong places, okay? Let it take the course. But I'm saying that issue is being magnified. It's being overemphasized. And if we
have you seen the state's physical planning map?
We don't have a problem with that. That's the point I'm trying to make. But if you stay on that problem alone...
I'm just asking.
No, I'm
not. Can I just say something? We just...
In closing?
Yes, okay, in closing, let me say this, that we just carried out a detailed study of the entire area. You have a floodplain map of this entire area, and you are sitting deep on the sea.
On the floodplain.
On the floodplain. I'm telling you that. If I would need a government, right, with a political will to take that decision to relocate everyone in this area.
We're not going anywhere. Don't even come there.
Including channel television.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay here. You guys are going to have to spend
Dr.
money.
Ashiru.
Let's just close.
Now we know who our enemies are. The managing director and chief executive officer, Ogun Osun River Basin Development Authority, Dr. Adedeji Ashiru, as well as Dr. Mr. Dayo Ayondoku, chairman, Oshonu Estate, Opik, Lagos. Thank you very much. I mean, this discussion is going to go on because from what you said, you are expecting floods ahead. And I'm sure as soon as the floods start, if there's any flood that the kind that happened last year, I'm sure we're going to be talking to you again very soon. And we're going to bring Dr. Ashiru to come and answer your questions.
Dr. Ashiru
but we pray that we do not have that kind of flood ever again in this area.
Will probably come with caterpillars. We're back right after now to stay with us.
We haven't received anything on.
No, I'm looking now.
On X yet?
Maybe they don't think that the conversation is decussate. Maybe. I mean, maybe everyone agrees that the word it's not decussate. Okay.
It's not a word I will ever use.
Why?
But
I'm using it.
But the one of last week, a lot of people responded.
Well, even that's
a more difficult word.
Although they are related, you know.
Okay.
In a way, they are related.
One is like this. The other one is like this.
So that's why I said that conversation almost went decussate. But it didn't. In order for your health not to be decussate, that's why we're here this morning. What are we talking about?
Sustainable fitness. And you know the guy, you know, he's very active, you know, fitness coach and all that. He's as fit as they come. Just looking at him, you know, I want to just go and live in the gym. Joel Uzamere, good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. It's good to see you, sir. How are you?
You know, good morning.
Good morning.
People now have begun to change their lifestyles, according to Mr. Wale Fatade, to fit into the current mold of reality. Someone said, it is not a good time to fall sick.
And another person said, it is not a good time to bomb Pekin.
I just saw a friend of mine put up on her status that one of the things responsible for cancer is chronic stress. Now, stress, we're not going into the mental conversations now, but when we talk about sustainable fitness, what are we talking about?
Okay, thank you for your question. And I think that that is a conversation that everyone should be thinking about. As you've said, some people don't want to give birth anymore. Some people don't want to do this because people are looking at how much they are spending on some of the things that they do. So essentially, when it comes to sustainable fitness, the first thing you don't want to be thinking about is gym subscription. Meaning that you don't essentially have to give you a plaque
for that one.
You don't essentially have to be in a gym before you can actually live a healthy life. And so it is those little things you do every day, you know, that accumulates to actually ensuring that you live a healthy life.
On that,
just sustainably healthy.
Yes. Just yesterday, a colleague, one of my contacts, was saying that she needed to enroll in a gym. Just yesterday. I am not sure that the funding will be sustainable.
So
I'm coming somewhere.
Okay.
So, but the challenge is the discipline of sustaining the fitness regime or routine without going to the gym. I think the gym will compel you. You are there
For work.
Yes, so...
Who says the gym will compel you?
Maybe you will go.
No.
Oh.
If you still wake up lazy in the morning, you're not going to go to the gym. Okay, I only pay 20K. I beg. I won't sleep.
What? Only?
Yeah, so let me say this to you. The percentage of people that go to the gym vis-a-vis people that subscribe is significantly different.
Oh.
Meaning, if I have a gym business, I make money off people who subscribe.
And don't come.
Even if they come twice in 3 months.
See what I mean?
Subscribers who the office have paid for them and are not showing up. It's part of my income. And then I have a percentage of people who then come to the gym because they want to. So let me say this.
But you're cool with it. You're cool with receiving the money and not seeing them.
Well, when you look at the business part of it,
yes,
that's not a bad thing. But more importantly is that that's not why you're there. You're not really there to take people's money and they don't come.
Yeah.
You know. But what I wanted to just fix a bit was the reason you go to a gym is not essentially so that you can have someone wake you up in the morning. And that's why some people have personal trainers. They think all I need is just someone that will get me up in the morning, or if I go to the gym, I'll be more consistent. Now, this is the reality. One of the reasons that you can decide to say, okay, I will go to a gym first is because of the physical assessment and exactly what you need to do. So you might think that you know what you're supposed to do, but you will need a fitness professional to help you know what your true goals are and, ensure that this is how to, this is where you're going to and this is how to get there. That may be something that you will need someone to do, but you don't necessarily need a gym or to be in a gym to do that. You can have a fitness professional outside of a gym help you with what to do. So the reason you go to a gym or get a personal trainer is not essentially because you're lazy and you don't want to do it. That may be part of the benefit, but essentially it's that you have the right knowledge, right? You have the right information. You are doing the exercise properly. I've told you before, you can undertrain and you can overtrain. And that's put me to my second reason why people are not, their fitness is not sustained, why it's not long-term. One of the major reasons is discouragement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you see that discouragement? Is the reason I wanted to talk to you. Wait. So I have this fitness app on my phone.
Okay.
Whenever I want to go on a long walk,
okay,
I put it in my pocket.
Okay.
Just to measure stuff. So on Thursday, yesterday.
What is a long walk?
A long walk? Wait,
How many miles?
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
On which day was it? On Tuesday, I took 8,030 steps.
Okay.
Which was 5.83 kilometers the whole day.
Okay.
Right? It said,
okay,
mind you, 8,030 steps. It says my movement was 237 calories.
Yeah.
On Thursday, I took 6,323 steps. 5.43 kilometers, but I burnt 293 calories.
Yeah.
Help me understand.
Ready?
Okay, so
more steps, less calorie loss.
I can tell you why. So
some people will be saying, I took so many steps, I walked.
Okay, so what you just mentioned now is what we call the metabolic equivalent. So to calculate calories, your body will take, are you with me? It will take what we call a MET value. Okay, it will take your body weight multiplied by 3.5 times the MET value divided by 200. That's how it gets that calories.
In the process of my walking.
Why is calories so few?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Yesterday, I took 7,800 steps. And I burnt 1,981
wait,
calories.
Let me tell you all the reasons why. Wait.
Okay.
So it will take that, but it's not just using that calculation. It is using the speed at which you are walking. Every exercise has intensity. If I'm strolling for 1 hour and I'm walking like a snail for 1 hour, and because I've covered 10K calories, you say,
10K steps.
10K steps. So I should have, no.
Because I did fewer steps, but I burned more calories.
Yeah, so
I burned over almost 2,000.
So let me say this to you. It is using the intensity, your heartbeats to know the amount of intensity that you are using. So the MET value uses intensity, not just the routine that you are doing. So even if you are running, there's running and there's running and there's running. There's brisk walk and there's brisk walk and there's brisk. So what you're doing is that your intensity, even though you're walking about,
So he was strolling.
your intensity was low. The other day that your calories was up was because your intensity was higher. Okay? And calorie is burnt of oxygen and energy used. So if I'm sitting here and I'm doing this, you know, and I do this, see, I've done this. My app may count 2 steps, but I'm sitting down. So the metabolic equivalent, you look at me, you're looking at me like, the metabolic equivalent that is, that app on your phone is using data from you, using your heart rate, using all those things to calculate. Now, let me say this. If you didn't have a proper heart rate monitor connected to your phone, it will make assumptions for you.
Oh.
Most people with their apps have assumptions. They have general knowledge as, you know, information, and they think that, oh, this is proper information. So your phone, if it doesn't get that, you know, data on your heart rate, will assume in order to give you results. But if you have a smartwatch connected to your smartphone, then it will get the data to give you
more data.
Yeah, to give you more data to give a more accurate answer. Okay, so maybe that day you walk fast and he just assumed that you didn't do anything, and maybe you did, but you have.
Should I conk the head of this app?
It's not his fault. It's something you can calculate yourself. So a proper fitness trainer, which is what we do at the Institute, we train people to be able to calculate people's calories and tell them exactly what it is, even before the app tells you. Maybe to be off 1 or 2. And the human mind is more accurate because it's fetching from what it can see. Okay? So that is why some people waste their time in the gym, which is the point I was going to. You're in the gym first month, second month, third month, no change. You're like, forget about it. This thing is not working. And so you get discouraged, and then that fitness is not sustainable. But if you're doing the right thing, and you see result the first month, you'll be like, wow.
So you are encouraged.
Yeah, you're encouraged. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. And then you want to do it more because you are seeing the benefit. But the other part of this is you do it for the first and second week, and you are
Nothing
fact out.
happens.
No, there's the first one that nothing happens, and there's the other one that you are doing too many things too quickly, and your body is shutting down. You know, so that is why you can't overtrain, which will cause you to also give up. Your body pain, I'm not talking about DOMS that initially start, injuries on your joints, all sorts of overtraining can come up. Then there is the undertraining, when nothing is happening, and you're wondering if this exercise thing is a sham or not. Those are some of the things that causes sustainability on fitness. I'll talk about another one, but those are at least the 2 we've mentioned so far.
So, for those who need to sustain, again, okay, so how do you use fitness to douse tension and stress?
Thank you very much. So, in the body, I don't want to go too much into the mental part, but in the body, we have what we call endocrine systems. That endocrine system is composed of different hormones. Those hormones will respond to your body based on what you're doing. Now, let me just say this. There's a way you can train your body to be able to endure stress. This is what I mean. So, let's say, for instance, you are a factory manager. You need to train your body in such a way that you are strong enough to take the rigor of having to walk all over the factory in order to, you know, do your job. Now, if you don't have the physical strength to walk all over the factory to do your job, it becomes very stressful, especially when you now have workers that are not doing what they're supposed to do. And so it's both mental and physical, and then you break down. But if you have the physical capacity, you are training in such a way in your house or in your compound, or if you, maybe it's a gym, whatever you are doing, you are training for the job, then you will be able to actually have enough energy and strength to perform that daily task. And this is why fitness is so important for people who are working. You know, it's not just for people who want to look good. It is for people who want to ensure that they are effective and efficient at work. They are training in such a way that they are fighting off stress. Because exercise is controlled stress. I hope you know that. Exercise is controlled stress. So we are putting stress in the body, like what the vaccine does, yeah? We're putting some stress in the body so that it is strong enough to withstand more. So the more stress you put, controlled stress you put to train the body, the more the body is able to withstand stress from outside. Now, that's from the body, the physiology of the body. Now, mentally, when you exercise, because of what exercise does, transporting oxygen, energy to cells, it makes your mind sharper. Okay? Of course, you know of endorphins that is released when you exercise, right? Now, all those things just gives you this, I'm able to do it kind of feeling. You know, I'm fit, I'm able to do this kind of feeling, which you need in whatever you do. The minute you feel down and out and under, you know, the clouds, you're not able to perform your task as you should. And what exercise does is to help you to fight those stressors, those hormones that are basically stressors. It helps you to, you know, fight them away and then bring in, makes you feel good, and then you can perform, you know, whatever task that you have to do.
So essentially, the Nigerian or the person needs to be clear what the objectives they want to take on are.
Yes.
When you have those objectives clear in your head, all of the activities you put in, they are targeted at
towards that.
So, for instance, you are saying essentially now that someone watching right now who has had to or is having, as part of their jobs or daily lives, to endure stress, need to have stress-targeted fitness routine.
Fantastic, exactly.
Okay. Now, there are those, and I think it's important because I see all kinds of people, both online and offline, trying to exercise. Now, I put it in inverted commas because some don't even know. They just hear, you need to exercise, and then they jump on the street, and then they are walking around. Now, people don't want to fall sick because falling sick means you have to spend money you don't have, and you will not be able to do the things that you need to do to get money that you don't have. So how do we create this routine, and what other things come with this routine that will help us to be sustainable?
You've asked quite a crucial question, because the truth is, I wish there was a pill or something I could tell everyone, and then just having that information, they will know exactly what to do. But the problem is that exercise is prescriptive. You know, the person's age, the person's even gender, what the person does for a living. Are you a CEO of an organization, or you work in the market? What exactly are you doing? What is your food like? What do you eat every day? Okay? So some people they're not eating properly. And then they are really trying to exercise a lot. I find that in the sport industry a lot, And so I need to know who the person is, what they do, and then say, this is what you're supposed to do. And that is one of the best things an organization can give its employee. You say, okay, get someone who's a professional and say, what do I do? What are the things I need to exercise? What are the exercises I need to do? And what are the things I even need to hit in order to ensure that I'm fit, not just for the job, but for my life? I want to be able to get home at 6 p.m. and I still have enough energy for my family. I still have enough time for leisure, okay? So I will use maybe just like a scenario. I'll just use some of the parameters that we need to know, okay? So this is generic stuff, so you can't use it as specific. So because there are different systems in the body, what physical fitness does is that it targets systems in the body. And if you know that systems are made up of organs made up of tissues, and tissues are made up of cells. So you are trying to take care of your whole body. And so we have the first thing, which is the cardiovascular system, okay? Now, the cardiovascular system is in charge of taking oxygen and energy around the body, you know, and the tool it uses to do that is the heart, the lungs, and the blood vessel, okay? Which are, and so when you exercise, what you're doing, you are making those organs stronger and more efficient and more, you know, they will stay or live longer. So that way, oxygen energy is getting to where you need to get to quickly, so that you can perform those tasks quickly.
And the function of exercising here is to make sure that that system, the cardiovascular system, is always active.
Yes, the capacity is doing what it's supposed to do. So let me give you a quick example. If your heart is supposed to be pumping, this is an example, 4 liters of blood per minute, and your heart is weak, it will be pumping 2 liters of blood. That means your heart will have to increase its pumping time per minute in order to sustain the demand from the body. Does that make any sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if the heart was strong and healthy, it would be doing maybe 70 beats per minute, 75 beats per minute and below. But if your heart is not healthy, it's doing 10 something, and you're just sitting. And so before you know it, if the heart is supposed to live 100 years, you have used half the lifespan of the heart already. You know, you're in trouble, and then you begin to have cardiovascular issues and stuff like that. So
because you didn't exercise them.
You didn't make it strong. The heart is actually a muscle.
The heart is not strong.
Yeah, we call it cardiac muscle. It's actually a muscle, it's striated. And the way to make the heart stronger, especially the left ventricle, is where the pumping actually happens, because it's just you have the receiving end and you have the pumping end. One is pumping to the lungs, one is pumping to the body. And so those parts that pump to the body and the lungs are made strong through cardiovascular exercise. Capillaries are formed that transmit oxygen there, and then they are strong. And because they are stronger, it's called the myocardia, the muscle there. And so
the more they give oxygen to the body, the less likely for sicknesses.
Yes, obviously. That's the meaning of your immune system is high. Really, in that sense. Okay, so
let me take you back a bit.
Yeah.
Before one begins to exercise, does one have to see a professional or someone like yourself?
Yes, they do. That's the simple truth.
No matter the age?
Yes, they do. Even if it's a one-time consult. Even if it's a one-time, where do I go from here? It is it's necessary. And I'll be honest with you, I have clients that all I do is just design a 1-month program for them. And they go. I can show you something on my phone of someone who sent in some results, okay, of the workout they did yesterday. I wasn't in Lagos, but they sent me, those things. And there's progress. I can see what they are doing. After a month, I go through what they've done, because there's something called progressive overload. You must not just train, you must continue to make the body stronger. Remember that we said you put
by degrees.
Yes, exactly. So, and you can't overdo it. So you are checking how often did they go to the gym this month? Did they have any other thing in their life that affected them? Did they lose someone? Is there anything happening in their life that is causing stress? So that you can remove this exercise, add something that is more fun, and then so you're managing that. And that is really what you need. And that's the reality. But guess what? Over a period of time, maybe after 2-3 months, those people have become knowledgeable. They become knowledgeable enough to know how to handle themselves. Then when life happens, maybe they get pregnant or they have a surgery or something, then they can come back and say, I need help. I don't know if you get it. Okay. But you need that supervision. You need someone to test and say, hey, don't do this.
Okay.
Do this. That's quite important.
Suppose somebody has exercised, let me say, all their lives.
Yeah.
And they've never been to a professional for advice.
Yeah.
And in old age, they want to continue to exercise.
Yeah.
Do they at that point need?
Yeah, I can tell you free of charge that they do. Do you know the reason why? Because that is where they will get, and I can tell you this, anyone that's been experiencing for a long time without a professional will have some injuries in their body. Free of charge. This is just free of charge, and
you just punched someone.
No, it's a reality. You know why?
You just punched someone in the tummy.
Because physiology, when I'm talking to my students about biomechanics is how the human body moves.
Full stop. You
can't know it by guessing. You don't by error build channels television. You don't by error dress properly. You have to be deliberate. You have to know exactly what you're doing. How does this joint move? Do you know the movements it can do? Okay. There are some movements this can do that this can't do, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when you're training, does it matter? There's pronation, supination. That's what you just did. Yeah, exactly.
Is that deposit?
For next week. For next week.
You know, so the body moves in different ways. And so even though you are getting some results and all that, it will come, you will pay for it.
Long and short, you need to be advised.
Okay.
Yes. That's the reality.
All right. You'll be hearing from us.
Not from your lawyers, thankfully.
Not from your lawyers, thankfully. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joel Zamere, a fitness coach. I really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I guess that's to tell you that that's information you can use in the course of your week. We don't want you to fall sick, so it's the minimum you can do. It's costlier than sustainable fitness. We'll be back for the home stretch, and they say it's not a shim.
It's a she.
So that's the shim.
You have seen her face already.
Shim.
So you know who she is.
It's not a shim. It's a she, right?
Okay, so all our putting her under wraps and don't just unveil her without us permitting. Anyway, she's a Nigerian actress.
No.
Script writer.
No, you can't do that. You can't
film
do that.
director.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to. You have to be. You have to put panache and finesse.
She's the Nigerian actress.
Exactly. Thank you.
Script writer, director, producer, and digital filmmaker. She studied at the New York Film Academy and has written several screenplays, including The Figurine,
I didn't write
Anchor
that.
Baby.
I didn't write those. I starred in them.
She starred.
Yeah.
She has starred in many movies.
You know, you are usually a Nigerian actress, including. Don't change our script.
Acting is there too.
Don't be angry.
Fatal Imagination, Being Mrs. Elliot, The First Lady, and Wives on Strike.
I wrote all those ones.
And then, of course, Oloture. In 2018, she starred and directed the comedy Moms at War.
Jesus.
Please welcome Omoni Oboli.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Was that you they were describing?
Well, that was me.
Of course, you must have been wait. Nami did they talk?
Nami did they talk? Guilty as charged.
It's been a while. How are you?
Good to see you.
Very well, thank you.
Good to see you.
You've been busy, right?
Good to see you.
Very busy.
Okay. How's that busy being?
Okay, so my new movie, The Uprising, got released in cinemas yesterday.
Yes, you are busy.
Yes.
The Uprising.
I have been very busy.
Please, where did The Uprising take place?
In Lagos.
Okay. All right.
People better open a film village in Lagos, but you have to be in the sky because we don't have land again.
Oh, we have land. There's a lot of land in Lagos that is not used. A lot. It's just you're thinking Ikeja, Lekki. That's why you think there's no land.
It's not
there
that.
is land.
When I was growing up, see that Papa showed the expressway. On the other side, when you are going towards Mile 2, was fallow. Now, don't fool.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
But there's still land towards Ajah, Ekpe, that area.
It must be a real estate to do all this.
Very soon.
We try to know what's happening around us.
Very soon, Lagos and Ekpe are going to be
They're
one.
going to be merged.
The same way that right now, Lagos and Shagamu are almost linked. I remember when we used to drive from Lagos to go buy suya in Shagamu.
Really?
See money.
Yes.
You drive all the way to buy suya. So there was no suya in Lagos?
Well, the fuel was not 1,000 naira then.
The suya in...
There you go.
When I was in university, the suya in Shagamu was the suya. It was the best suya in Nigeria.
Yes, the fuel was not 1,000 naira.
No,
you
wasn't.
can't try that. You have to eat the suya in your neighborhood.
Well, my producer wants me to ask you that it appears this movie industry is treating you well with the kind of growth you are experiencing.
I would say yes, obviously. But I would also say it's not because the industry is treating me well, and it is, but it's because I am dogged in my resolution to make it happen, come what may. So yes, it's treating me well, but I'm putting in a lot of hard work.
You can't come from Benin and not put in hard work.
So I was born in Benin,
okay,
but I'm actually from Delta. You know, then it was Bendel, so we're together.
Which part of Delta?
I'm Urobo.
Oh.
Yes.
I had to make it clear to him this morning on air that I'm not Yoruba.
Yes, Alera is Ishekiri, isn't it?
He was expecting me.
So you know how Ishekiri people and Yoruba people are connected?
Yes.
So you cannot be Ishekiri and not have
Yoruba blood.
Or you cannot be Yoruba and not have Ishekiri. So
correct.
I have like first cousins who are Ishekiri.
Okay, can we go back to talking about movies?
Yes, we can.
Before you start family meeting on top of it.
Yes, so the Uprising, you said, opened in cinemas yesterday.
Yes.
Without giving out too much, give us a little thing that will make us all rush to the cinema to go and watch.
Okay, so it's the Uprising Wives on Strike 3, right? So we've done Wives on Strike 1, and we've done Wives on Strike 2. So this, if you followed any of them, but this is a standalone, so even if you've not watched the other two, you can watch this and thoroughly enjoy yourself.
Okay.
Exactly. But that story, or the trilogy really, is about we as a people, the power of community, right? The power of sisterhood, because the women are a group of local market women, right, who have a bond, a sisterhood, and they try to make things happen for themselves, for the community, and for the country at large. The reason why we decided to use a group of local market women and not a group of sophisticated women is because we want the regular, everyday person to realize that they have power. They do have power. They can effect change. So they need to understand the power that they have. Yesterday, the first thing I did to open this movie is I went to a market in, I don't want to say it wrong, Lesopo or something like that, right, in Yanapaja. And we took a group of market women to go watch the film. We gave them an experience, took a bus there, carried them to the cinemas, and they watched the film, and they felt so good. So it's, you know, a lot of people do not have the opportunity to watch films because some people never chop finish na cinema, they won't go. Do you understand? So, but we want people to experience this film because it is a film that is made by us, for us. It's for everyone. You know, so they were excited. They were really happy because they saw themselves for the first time on screen. And it was exciting for them. One of the women came out and said, we have the power. Now I understand the power that we have and we can effect change. Right? Wow. We can effect things in the society. We can talk to the government. So the film is really about we as a people.
You know, this is very interesting. On the one hand, to even identify that local women, this movie is more about local women. Formula Ransom Kuti, for someone who riled up local women.
Thank you.
And you want to do the same thing. It's okay.
Well,
wait.
So film is my strongest,
guys.
Film is my strongest voice.
Wait. Oh, madam, wait now. Be calming down.
All right.
Oh, by the way, I hear you're also a grandmom.
I am.
Okay. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Okay.
Zoom into her face.
We'll come back to that. It also reminds me of, I haven't seen it, Basket Mouth's ghetto love story.
Yes.
It's also village, like really grassroots kind of movie. Why do you think it seems you guys are going in that trajectory now? Because it's a good thing. It's really a very, very good thing. What's the motivation for going down that route?
Well, I can only speak for myself. But if you think about it, the larger percentage of Nigerians are these people, are us. My mom was a school teacher, and she had a shop in the market. So I'm telling my mother's story, right? So she's someone who probably was not aware of the power that she had, the voice that she had, right? So it's up to me now, you know, to leave, my mom is passed, by the way, to pass on that legacy, to say, you know what, you had a voice, you just didn't know that you could use it. So the people who are still alive, you have a voice, you can use it. For me, film is my strongest voice. So as much as I love to entertain, because that's the first thing, entertainment, right? But I also want to educate. So you go into the movie, you're going to be thoroughly entertained, but you're going to come out with so many things in your mind. You're going to think about the fact that we have to raise our children right. Because if you watch the film, in short, the film would not have happened if a boy was raised right. So almost everything that happened in that story is because someone did not raise her child well. So we as mothers, we owe it to society at large to make sure that we raise our children right, especially boys. Girls too, no doubt. I'm a mom of boys, right? So but we owe it to the society to make sure that we raise our children right. Because if you don't, then they're going to fall into the wrong hands. And then what happens? So we see the love of mothers for their kids, right? Especially the love for two mothers for their kids. And what happened because of those two children?
Okay. I also, okay.
Now tell us, the film industry has been accused sometimes of not telling our own stories. And in the last few years, it seems we're moving closer, because many filmmakers who have come here have said we need to be the ones telling our own stories.
Not the other way around.
Yes.
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 So in that regard, how well do you think we're doing now?
I think we're doing way better than we were before. Honestly, we are. Because at the end of the day, nobody can tell your story better than you. You've lived it. There's no one that's going to come from outside of Nigeria to tell our story better than us, because this is our reality.
Yes.
This is our life. We live this story, right? So when you watch the uprising, Wives on Strike 3, you will see yourself. You will see your experiences. You will see your neighbor's experience. You will see your auntie's experience. You will see everyday people like you and your friends and your relatives, their story, because this is our story.
Now, in that same light, part of the thing that's played in my head about such films as in really reaching the grassroots is how. What are the gaps we need to fill? I've seen a good number of movies by your fellow filmmakers like Kunle Afolayan and the rest of them. They make epic movies and tell epic stories. Is there any similarity between the epic stories of those days and the kind of genre that you wrote for this?
Well, they're both entertainment, right? However, one is telling of things that have passed, right? And the other is talking about the reality of today. So that's the major difference between both genres. You're talking about the past. You're saying, let's not forget where we're coming from.
In other words, have we learned from them?
Exactly. And then the other is saying, this is the reality today. This is us now. How do we effect change through film
It would seem like, you know, we didn't learn from previous years.
As a people, I believe that we didn't. Because let's not get ahead of ourselves and let's not go too far. We keep making the same mistakes. And it's like things are just repeating. But, you know, let's leave that for another time.
But it's valid. It's part of the reason we need to tell our stories.
That's why I'm using my strongest voice, which is film.
Yeah. Now, you said something about entertainment being a thing, but then it has to also, you know, educate and inform.
That's my personal journey.
I will tell you this. I don't see any sensible movie that will entertain without educating and informing.
Well,
to me.
Okay.
Wait. You say you have your own personal, I mean, I have my own.
Okay.
To me, entertainment without information and education is like eating spices.
I know what you mean. Because I've never told the story. I know what you mean. Because I've never told the story that does not have education in it. Never. I can't even do it. I just can't.
How can you sit there and say, I want to eat a plate of spices?
But that does not mean that the people who do that, their movies are not nice. Their movies are nice.
It has to teach something. That's my point.
Sorry, sir.
It can entertain.
It can entertain, but
it's supposed to do all of those, but you can just choose one and dwell on that one. I want this movie to entertain, full stop.
There is no...
But then she might decide that she wants this movie to entertain and educate at the same time.
Please, does the entertainment story have a storyline?
It would have a storyline.
Good. What is it? Where is it going? Is it just go? Just...
I mean, haven't you watched movies that it was nice, like blah 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 blah, and then you're like, what happened? Like, okay, where did we go with this?
It sounds like I'm never gonna watch that movie again.
It does happen.
Even Richard Pryor. I don't know if you remember the 80s film Richard Pryor Brewster's Millions.
Brewster's Millions, yes, yes, yes.
I can't, for the life of me, this guy had to spend $30 million in a month.
Yes.
He had to spend $30 million in a month.
I remember the story now.
And he cannot do anything for himself. He can't save it. He can't invest it.
And there can be none of it left. Like, they shouldn't find any of it anywhere left at the end of the month.
Otherwise, he will lose.
Otherwise, he loses everything.
He loses $1
30
billion.
million is a lot of money to spend in 30 days.
It is.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. You have a task. That's pure comedy.
Yeah.
But it taught something.
Yes, it did teach something. So, you know, I'm with you. You know, right? I'm with you. Let's not get it twisted. I'm with you. That is my life as a filmmaker. What I'm saying is, I can't, at the same time, undermine the people who are not like me, because we're all different.
Yes.
Right? Education might be at the core. I was raised by a teacher. So maybe that's why I'm the way I am.
Clearly, you don't have a choice.
You know what I mean? So I have to educate, right?
Okay.
But I'm different.
Okay, so where do you go from here? And I'm saying you as a name and a voice and face in movie making in Nigeria. Nollywood has grown astronomically.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
It seems like Nollywood is trying to catch up with the music industry, because back in the 80s, we only listened to the Shalamars and Kool and the Gangs of this world. Now we don't even know.
Oh, but now even outside of Nigeria.
Yes.
I got on a flight in Canada, going to Dubai, Emirates. And as I was entering the flight, it was Nigerian music. It'd be like that they welcomed me. I was like,
Omoni,
I danced, entered the plane.
They speak English in Canada. I was watching tennis in China.
It was Nigerian music.
They were playing Nigerian.
I'm so proud.
The Chinese are playing Nigerian music.
Well, you don't understand what that thing does to me.
So
head this way, one bus.
I just dance, enter the plane.
Oh, by the way, before you answer that question, someone is asking you, in the light of telling our own story, Woman King, you know the story. Something that happened in Benin. Report was done by...
Oh, yes. Go by them.
Yeah. Someone is now asking what you think of Idris Elba playing Okonkwo in Things Fall Apart.
I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Idris is African. I hope you know that.
At least he's black.
No, he's actually African.
He's from Sierra Leone.
His dad is Sierra Leonean. He's not, I mean, yes, he's lived abroad, but he is African, right? And so that's an African telling an African story. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay.
I'm just being honest.
So back to the question that I asked you. Where do we go from here? Director, with just 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God,
so,
already.
You know, as a filmmaker, as an actor, as someone who has a voice, as someone who has a voice in film, because film is really my strongest voice, I'm going to keep telling our stories. I'm going to keep educating our people. I'm going to keep doing movies that my people will be proud of, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm a Nigerian. I'm Nigeria's child. So I want Nigeria, as my mom or dad, whatever gender you want to give Nigeria, to be proud of me as his child or her child, or, you know. So I'm going to keep doing that. This movie right now is in cinemas, The Uprising Wives on Strike 3. This is my best movie yet.
So,
and I want everyone to see it. It's the best yet. Not ever, but I want everyone to see it.
So the path of the shining, the bright path of the righteous will shine brighter. That's what you're saying. We hear you. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Actress.
Oboli, actress, scriptwriter, film director, producer, digital filmmaker, grandmom,
mom, wife,
lover,
and so on and so forth.
The work.
You see the rest in the movies.
Thank you for coming to Close Sunrise for us.
Thank you for having me.
today.
It was a lot of fun.
And that's us for this Saturday. Make sure you join us next Saturday for another interesting edition of Sunrise. I'm Alero Edu, wishing you all the best until we see again. Oh, no, until you see us again next week.
Caution is the word in case it rains and you know anyone in flood-prone areas, please advise them, because we need to be alive to keep what is ours. Amaya Makide, do have a beautiful rest of your weekend.